Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keegan Boyce.
I'm Taylor Davis.
And I'm Rodney McCoy.
And we are students of the Pre-Engineering and Architecture class of 2010, here to present to you our Color Changing Roof project.
Our engineering class was chosen along with 15 other classes out of the country by M.I.T. Lemonson Foundation to receive $6,000 to research for a research grant.
As a result, our class organized an after-school group for invent teams, which we named Eclipse. We recruited students from multiple vocation areas whom could lead their individual capabilities on a wide variety of subjects, from dealing with design on this project. Members of this team included students from such areas as childcare, computer repair and networking, digital communications, multimedia, and graphic design, and more.
As some of you may already know, an average residential home equipped with a black asphalt roof has a tendency to retain a significant amount of heat within the attic space. And this is beneficial, of course, during winter times when the weather is cold. However, during the summer when the weather is hot, this is not beneficial. With this knowledge in mind, last year a student from our own pre-engineering class suggested the idea of a color-changing roof, and that simple remark sparked this whole project.
In the beginning, we found that there wasn't that much research done within this area, so invent teams jump on that to start on this. We built 2 small housing units, one with a white roof and one with a black roof, and with the use of the LabQuest data gatherer and the temperature probe donated by us to the Vernier Company, we spent the next few months observing the effect that different colors on roofs have the heat collection within the house. Initially,
We tested the amount of heat accumulated in the attic and living space of a model with a black roof and another with a white roof. On average, the black roof's attic space was 6 to 10 degrees hotter than the white shingled roof.
Now, our first solution involves a series of tubes much like this one, black on one side, white on the other side. Each individual tube will have a geared system on the top and on the bottom, and they will all set at the angle that the roof is, so that by any means of rotation of a single tube will cause every other tube in that system to rotate the same degree, thus changing it from black to white. Our data that we collected showed a significant change between the black and the white attic space. The white attic space was 15 to 22 degrees cooler than that of the black attic space. And when we collected data with the white roof exposed, the actual attic space was only 1 degree or 2 degrees hotter than the outside temperature.
When the temperature falls to a certain degree, the tubes will turn into black, and the black tube will absorb the heat from the sun and turn it into heat energy that we'll be able to use.
The temperatures on average inside the black tubes were about 15 to 20 degrees warmer than the outside temperature, so it pretty much showed us that the black tubes have just as much thermal gain as the black asphalt shingled roof.
Our second solution came about after we had some time to review the data that we were collecting. One of the decisions that we decided to make was similar to that of an accordion door, if you're familiar with things. The accordion system, it's a white insulated panel, and it will sit on top of the black asphalt roof, and when desired by the homeowner, it will release down, covering the black asphalt. This will result in a decrease in temperature in the attic space, because as the sunlight hits the white, it will reflect it back and thus not gather any more heat within the attic space. And if the homeowner decides to allow that heat to be in their attic space and later on increase the temperature of their home, they can simply raise it back up and it will leave that black asphalt exposed. This project right here is currently under construction and we'll be ready to do full testing with it next week.
In June, we'll be taking our designs to Eureka Fest at M.I.T. in Boston, and also to Skills USA in Kansas City. And we're hopeful to get a continuation grant from M.I.T. to continue our design and field test on a full-scale house.
Are there any questions that anyone has? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is exciting. I have, sorry. Some things occurred to me, and I just out of curiosity, there's not a right or wrong answer. Did you do a comparison between a pitched roof and a flat roof? I know most of our schools have flat roofs. as far as the retention of heat in the black versus the white?
The initial testing, like we have just received, as the picture shows up there, this vernier temperature probe. That is one thing that we can explore. We've been exploring different possibilities. That one, however, is not one that we've done yet, but we'll take into consideration and execute. We have done testing, however, with silver tubes to see if the amount of reflection with that one would decrease the temperature better than that of the white one. That is a good point.
Second one, any conjunction with ventilation in the attic space as far as a passive or solar type ventilation?
Well, one speaking of ventilation, this increase in heat in the attic space does have, an impact that we believe. Again, that's one of the things that we're getting ready to testing. We're getting materials to do that, so I can't completely answer that question for you. But the theory of us so far prior to this testing is that this increased attic air is heating up the cooled air coming out of central air-based facilities and increasing the temperature being pumped into the house. But again, testing is still underway on that one. So
I love it. And one final one on the white cover that would release over the black asphalt. Is there an additional load-bearing problem with that? Would you have to narrow the roof so that would it handle additional load weighting?
Where do you want to go? Well, mainly the forces that would really act on that would be the fact that it's being pulled up. It's not heavy at all.
I was curious what the weight was of it.
The weight would have, I don't think, would have any impact or danger on a roof itself, because it's set in whiteboard, and then we have a gap, and then we have the other whiteboard down here, and we can also put foam in the middle of that, so it's very lightweight.
I think it's great.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I too am excited about what you're doing, and I've known Mr. Zuby and I've known Mr. Stauffer for a long, long time, and I know how dedicated and interested they get in the projects, and that has rubbed off on you all, and it's so exciting to see you doing this. You had some assistance through M.I.T. Is this renewable? Will they come back again and say, we're going to continue to help you, or?
Well, it is renewable, yes, but we have to reapply for it.
You do reapply each year?
Yes, and when we first initially applied for it, they were really excited about it, so it sounds like that we might actually have something going on next year if we show them all the data that we've collected so far.
And I think I heard you say you were going up to MIT and show this information to them?
Yes, sir, we're going to Boston.
Well, that has to be a thrill, too. Thank you.
And we're leaving, those of us that are going to Kansas City as well as Boston are taking a direct flight from Boston to Kansas City, so it's going to be a very interesting summer.
Sounds great.
One real quickly, have you done any research? Are there any kind of paints, or I know they do amazing things with paints that change. They're going to name the company and what it costs per bucket, right?
Yeah. Our very, very first decision when we were brainstorming, this is the very first thing we did in our design process, was starting with brainstorming. Somebody mentioned different kinds of paints that will react, and you can have a black-based paint that will turn white depending on outside things that happen to it. But the problem is, we looked it up. It was very, very, very expensive. I think, if I recall, $400 for a gallon, right? $400 a gallon for color-changing paint, and that is significant, in comparison to what we've been spending to solve our solutions. Also, the effect of the sun on this paint is terrible. It actually is UV sensitive, and again, we did toss around some ideas of UV protective, like lenses and stuff like that might help it out to where it wouldn't be destroyed. But the idea was tossed out mainly because of cost.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My head is awash with comments, most of it which are sort of laudatory in nature.